We continue here on the conversations talking International Men's Day, and joining us as speaker, Re Poloko Makgolane. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. How is your stay so far in our Botswana?
Amazing. Amazing. I love this country. And we were actually talking when we came in yesterday that it feels like home. It does not feel very different to home because I'm from the northwest in South Africa. So that's next door, literally. So I feel like I'm at home.
It just feels like you took a drive down.
Yes. And we also did note how welcoming the people here are. Very nice people. I think that's the difference. I'm not saying the people at home are not nice. I'm just saying people here are just a lot more friendly. Yeah.
All right, just give us an overview of who you are and what your work covers.
My name is Poloko Mmakgolane, like you said, and my work, I'm a speaker primarily, and I write books as well, and I do training, coaching. So I coach other speakers and train other people in public speaking and also just communication in the corporate space. And I also set up seminars for our own seminars, different company seminars, addressing different issues, working on issues that touch on company culture, team building, and all of that, everything in that space. So that is pretty much what I do, and I travel to Botswana when I get a chance now.
I love that. I love you do very important work. I wanted to know from today's event, just give us a key highlights of some of the things you touched on.
So the title of my message was "It is the thought that counts," and that really speaks to how everything starts in the mind. There is nothing that you can do, there is nothing that you can accomplish unless you get your mind right. You have to get your thinking right because from your thinking, it flows to your words, and from your words, it becomes your actions. The people don't do anything they haven't thought about. Sometimes they think about it consciously or unconsciously, but people don't do anything that has not yet went through their mind. So whether it could be anything from murder to walking from here to there, you thought about it first and then you went ahead and did it. So that was the gist of it. We spoke about themes such as exposure, how helpful it is for you to expose yourself to a different way of life. Get out there and find out how people are living. Find out how big life can be. Find out what you can actually do. You know, I told a story of how when I was a kid, my dream was to be a taxi driver because I hadn't been exposed to people who had their own cars. I hadn't been exposed to anything except the only way to get to town is through a taxi. I didn't know you could own your own car. I didn't know you could live in town. I didn't know you could have a toilet in the house, you know, stuff like that. So as a village boy, my highest level of exposure limited the way I was dreaming. And that's the idea that I wanted to share with the men in there today, which was that if you allow yourself to be exposed, go find out what's possible and let that determine how you dream from then on. So it doesn't matter what area of your life it is, whether it is money, right? Find out who has money out there. People have more money than you can even imagine. And you'll find that there are people who, as soon as they have 600 pula, 700 pula, they want to go out because they've arrived.
Yes.
Whereas there's someone else who, as soon as they have 100,000 pula left in the bank, they start to panic and they try to find other ways to bring it back in. So those are the differences, you know. So we spoke about that. We spoke about so much more, but I don't want to keep talking by myself.
It's not a problem. I want to know from you your collective thought on what men think when it comes to issues of finances.
What men think when it comes to issues of finances. I think it depends on who the man is and where the man comes from. Background plays a major role in the programming of an individual. And so you will find that even in there are men who come from different backgrounds. And so there will be men who tell you that money is not easy to come by. And there'll be men who tell you that money is very easy to make. There'll be those who, when they go home, they shout at everybody, money doesn't grow on trees. And there'll be those who are very free to give it out when they get home. So it depends on who the man is and how the man was raised and the programming that happened all throughout the years. Like I know, for example, for me, I had an issue with debt. I had an issue with managing my money and holding on to it because I grew up in a home where as soon as there was money, it had to go out. Whether it was pizza or whether it was going out somewhere, you had to get rid of it as soon as it came in because we just get excited. We weren't used to having money. So that for me is something that I've learned. It depends on who the man is and how the man was programmed as they were growing up. I don't think there's anything that you can apply to all men or, most men. You can't really do that. You have to figure out who you're talking to and where they come from.
I love this introspection of what I think, term as a money wound. For other people who don't have a template, what would you say that, how do you sit down and reflect and assess where your money wound is? You lucky you were able to identify that. For me, I grew up in a family where when money comes in, quickly goes out. So what template would you say people can use to have the same introspection?
I think the easiest way, well, the first and easiest way is your bank statement. You have to go get your bank statement and figure out exactly what is going on in your life. I'll tell you, I say this because at one point I was really, really struggling. There were a couple of months back then when I was not on 1 month on time for my rent. And then I got my bank statements one time, and then I just began to add up everything, and I realized there's money coming in. I'm just not sure where it's going. Because I realized at the summary, this much came in, but I don't see it. I don't know where it is. And so you have to be very intentional, just line by line. Okay, it went over there, it went over there, it went over there. And on a piece of paper, just write down in categories. This is how much I spent on entertainment. This is how much I spent on things that were to empower me for my personal growth. This is how much I spent on the things that set me back in my finances. So you do that and it quickly humbles you, but also it shows you where those wounds are. So I think for everybody, and because this goes for everything across the board, but just do an evaluation of your life. Get that statement, and if there was cash that wouldn't reflect on the statement, try to recall and see where did the money go. Because I promise you, it went somewhere, and that will tell you everything you need to know about how you're doing and where you are.
Wrapping up, I want to pick your brains on this. A lot of men struggle a lot with things like black tax and also upholding that role of being a provider in the society. What are your thoughts on it? And do you think should we still be upholding the societal role?
I don't know how a lot of people will feel about this, but as a man, you absolutely have to, right? Now I say this because I grew up in a home with women. When I was a kid, I was raised by women. I saw women really do their best to provide. And I know how their lives could have been different if there was a man around who showed up for them and did his best to provide as well. But also, when you ask about black tax, I don't like that phrase because I've also got family that I want to put in a better position, right? I want to put my mother in an even better house, in an even bigger house. And whenever it is that I have to look out for my people, I don't call it black tax, right? These are people who raised me. These are people who took care of me. These are people who really put themselves off so that they can make sure that I am well. To this day, if my mother has anything, she will call all of her children to make sure that they're okay, right? So I don't like that. I've never been comfortable with the term black tax, but I think you also have to live within reason where you can be able to be completely honest with the people around you to say, listen, I don't have this. What I can do, I will do. But if there's anything I'm telling you I cannot do, you need to believe me, I cannot. And if I would, I absolutely, if I could buy you a car, I would. But just understand, at this point, I can only go so far. I can only do this. And please respect that. And sometimes you might have family that is unreasonable and, expect you to send one of your siblings to school when you yourself are trying to finish school, something like that. But that's where you have to draw your boundaries and still be intentional. But it should never be to a point where we are now trying to say we must do away with this. It can never be that way.
I like.
Unfortunately, we are starting on a back foot, and there's nothing that we can do about it except try to work harder to put ourselves in a better position. And I guess also the answer is make more money.
Make more
Make
money.
more money.
Love that. As his closing message to men as we commemorate International Men's Day, what would you say to men in terms of allowing themselves to spend on themselves quickly, just as your closing message?
I had a mentor that told me that you have to reward yourself, right? When it comes to you as an individual, you as a man, one of the things that I absolutely despise is to get to the end of the year, to go through seasons of my life and not see what I have been doing. Where is it that it is going? I don't see it in the way that I'm dressed. I don't see it in the way that I take care of myself. I live in a place that is absolutely embarrassing, but I work hard. So as a man, you have to take care of yourself. You have to. And we're not talking about going to the club and buying all kinds of bottles. We're not necessarily talking about that. We're just talking about reward yourself in such a way that encourages you to keep on doing more of what you are doing. You absolutely have to. And also, I'll tell you this, challenge yourself as well. Stretch yourself a little bit so that you will, expose yourself to what life can be. I don't know about the restaurants here in Botswana, but I think is Room 52 a nice one?
Yeah. Well,
To, is it one of the high end ones? Go to a place that has nice views, nice everything, just so that you can experience. I work hard, just so you can sit there and say, you know what? Yeah, I work hard and I've really rewarded myself. And from there, just go right back to working and keep on expanding your mind, keep on expanding your thinking, expose yourself to more things so that you can really get to a point where you are living that life now. But more than anything, take care of yourself.
beautiful message. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in this beautiful country of ours.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Beautiful words. Make more money. That's all I'm going to say. Let's take more conversations.